Caliente Tech Talk. I am Service Manager Derek. With me again tonight is
Phil
and
Chris.
All right, they are just the people you already know. They don't even want to introduce themselves anymore. We've been having conversations off camera, and we just got yelled at that we should be having these conversations on camera because we never shut up about this stuff. And so now we turn the cameras on. Are going to start talking about it. The voice is back there somewhere.
He is?
Yes, there he is. See, he's on his big motorcycle back there watching us put this together. Voice, hit me with a comment from the internet today. What you got?
So, this comment is from Jag Jr. 6772. If you buy an ESP, there is a box on the form to choose and pay extra to cover Screamin' Eagle parts. They are not covered under the normal ESP. I just went through this at my dealer buying a new bike and HD extended warranty.
Okay. Well, that's actually that is true. They do have a Screamin' Eagle addendum or rider or whatever you call it additionally. I think they came out that a year or two ago where they added that on for modified bikes through Harley-Davidson. A Screamin' Eagle is the Harley-Davidson performance upgrades. So traditional, the way I know it, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, traditional ESP covers the OEM stock stuff on the bike, but if you've modified it yourself through Harley-Davidson Performance, Screamin' Eagle, then it will cover those items in it. So yes, you do need to check it. So if you're purchasing a bike and pre-owned usually, and you are going to be adding all those items, then having that
Knowing
additional...
you're doing a stage 1, stage 2.
Yeah. But it is only the Harley
3.
Screamin' Eagle stuff that they're covering.
Right.
An ESP, that's extended service plan. So it's
a Harley program, so they only cover the Harley stuff.
Right. So knowing what the bike is, what's in it if you're buying a pre-owned helps. If you're planning on adding those things on a new bike, that's a good time to do it as well. If you're buying a CVO that already has those are original factory equipment, they would be covered. But if you're changing another Screamin' Eagle product, then that would then cover those.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
New bike. In fact, you get factory warranty on parts that I've added to it within the first, 90 days or something?
No, 2 years custom coverage.
Custom coverage?
Anything you buy Harley-Davidson and a shop installs on your new bike during your 2-year factory warranty will then be added on and covered by that warranty and roll over to your ESP.
Does the ESP then covers it?
With very few exceptions. There are a few things that we have found out over time they don't like. If you blow a speaker on those, they may not.
Sure.
Batteries won't get covered on those. There's
But
a few
put mirrors
miscellaneous
on and they get wobbly or...
Yeah, exactly. So rather than the 1-year warranty you get buying it over the counter parts only, if the shop installs it and it's on a work order, that then gets married to your VIN and follows all the way through. If it is a Screamin' Eagle part, you would then need the Screamin' Eagle rider on the ESP to get those things covered.
Normal parts. But...
Or get it on your warranty. Yes, custom coverage is what it's called. But yes, that's what that does.
There's your commercial. Sorry, people. But...
Yeah, I know. Everybody hates it.
Well, but I think that's fairly...
It's good. It's good information to have
in power sports and auto, because like Ford has I don't know if you guys know this, but Ford has Motune, which is their factory kind of aftermarket specialty.
Okay.
And if you go in and you buy that Motune parts while you're buying your car, they also kind of have a little caveat thing that we'll cover this, but here you go.
So yeah, but it is only the motor company stuff. They're not doing aftermarket at all. That's a whole different animal out there. So it's good to use if you're going to have those kind of add-on things. That ESP is a good program. We've talked about ESP before. It covers a lot of things that can save you a bunch of money down the road, in my opinion. We've used it constantly in here for customers on the road.
Pretty sure we...
Do you have ESP?
All
I have
three of us
ESP on mine.
ESP.
Yeah, it's just, even though we can fix it ourselves, or I can have these guys fix it for me because I don't like to get my hands dirty anymore, it's nice to have that peace of mind where if you lose a component that's a little pricey...
Just to cover the coverage of the... Even if I'm not paying labor, just the cost of the parts is expensive.
It helps a lot. So it's nice peace of mind on your investment. But my thing was, if I'm still making payments on a vehicle, I want some kind of warranty so I don't have that unexpected bill. If the vehicle's paid off, then I get a little more wishy-washy with it because I still maybe save that car payment or that bike
towards
payment,
repairs,
and I got it for maintenance and repairs. You got to if you're a vehicle owner or a homeowner or anything else, you've got to factor in maintenance. Yeah. It's coming. I don't care how great you take care of things. I don't care how wonderful everybody says stuff is. You're going to have maintenance and repair stuff on anything you own.
What is it? Something I saw today was regular maintenance is good. irregular maintenance gives you extra exercise.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's a great thing to bring up. So thank you for that little comment out there. We like talking about those things and your experiences you're feeling out there in the world. So what question did that covered our question comment this evening, right? What topic? Oh, by the way, we're letting the voice dictate these to us, so we get a little surprised as what we're talking about. So what are we talking about tonight? What's our topic tonight, boys?
So our topic tonight is what to expect out of a wreck repair. So what to expect when you have a wreck and you're going to have it fixed. Things to expect, things to understand.
Okay.
That you're not going to get probably the exact same bike that you had
never
before.
know.
Hopefully you should get in very close to, but my thing with wreck repairs is perfect opportunity to upgrade.
Yeah.
True.
You know, my exhaust got scratched in my, hopefully nobody wrecks, but it happens. My exhaust is scratched. Well, if the insurance company's covering this much, for an extra couple $100, I can do the whole thing of the one I've always wanted. Hey.
Or handlebars.
Handlebars.
I know when I wrecked my 2012 Road Glide, most of it was chrome. So when I wrecked it, I went black stock. And it was pretty much a wash. So
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the bike's getting rebuilt, hopefully back to, factory condition, showroom new, kind of, that's what we're looking for. I mean, when I was doing it, it was, OE parts we're using unless the customer's requesting something else. If it is, because we're not a paint and body shop, so we're not doing those kind of repairs. There may be some of that stuff that goes, if it's a minor scuff, minor scratch, and there's some repaint they can do using the Harley paints, we'll do that. But for the most part, it's getting replaced with original equipment stuff. So in saying that, if they're talking expectations, not just what your bike looks like, but time.
Yeah.
Being in the management chair and taking those phone calls, I hear that a lot where, hey, I've been waiting for 6 weeks, what's going on? And I'm like, we could be months getting some of these things in because they're not all necessarily sitting on a shelf
we
somewhere.
just had a customer that had to wait almost a calendar year, I feel like. I mean, I'm probably
Which one was
over
that?
exaggerating.
The Pan Am,
the Pan Am.
where we had an issue,
Not the
yeah,
other
a
one
part
with
was
the-
back ordered, yeah.
Getting parts.
Yeah, it can, and that happens. So it's unfortunate, but there's not an obligation to get you back on the road in an insurance claim because it's not a fault of the bike or the warranties that would cover those. A mechanical failure, an accident, as unfortunate as it is, or damage to your bike, there's no obligation to get you back on the road quickly. So that's where you talk to your insurance company if they can provide you rental reimbursement and what those rules are.
Or if you change parts and go to different vendors, I mean, there are options. And from a technician management standpoint, dealership standpoint, we try and do your estimate. I do. I write everything I marked out. And if it's from the accident, great. If it wasn't from the accident, I still write it down. And I let the insurance company be the bad guy saying, well, you fell on the right and that's on the left, so we're not going to cover that.
Yeah.
We've had that before.
We write down, as technicians, we write down everything. And then also, being a customer, if you do buy aftermarket parts, please keep your receipts.
Oh,
just so we can find them because, if we're trying to find certain bars.
Your handlebars. Perfect example.
Or grips or mirrors.
Name it. We've seen it all.
Yeah.
Make a file.
Aftermarket lights.
For your motorcycle, just put all your receipts
Keep a file
in there.
what you buy, especially if you're buying no-name stuff.
Weird Amazon
because it complicates an estimate to no end when you've got some rando spider webby whatever silly thing on there and you want that back and we're like, we have no idea
so
where that
what we'll
came
find
from.
is equivalent.
Yeah, we try to do our best to find equivalent. But if you know what it is and where to find it, that can make it much simpler and more accurate ultimately for the insurance company because they may come back and say things like, well, why are you trying to charge X amount of dollars for this part that the OE only shows this much? It's like, well, because it's an aftermarket custom
He's
whatever.
got this $200 one instead of this $50 stock.
Exactly,
I mean,
and the insurance company may say, well, too bad, this is the... So if you have those invoices, sometimes that helps you, especially if you have like accessory coverage.
Well, getting accessory coverage.
Yeah,
Well,
on
I
your
had
big
insurance.
thing.
I had a guy that had aftermarket mirrors. They looked like Willie G. There was a skull on it, so I just grabbed Willie G. Skull's mirrors. Well, the insurance company didn't like that too much because they were like, well, these aren't Willie G. mirrors, so why is this quote
paying Willie G prices?
Willie G. prices versus this price? And it's like, well, I couldn't find it.
It is a different world because I know guys in the paint and body world, and they're working on cars, and 9 times out of 10, they're replacing a fender that's a stock fender and a stock color, and it's just bang,
Well,
bang.
and they can get those fenders from China.
Yeah, they get them from anywhere.
Repops. I mean, it's-
We just don't operate like that, so there's a lot more involved. And usually, you know, if you get a fender bender in your car and you wreck a bumper, wreck a fender, you don't have to worry about if it dinged a fin on your engine and now you've got this big problem. Whereas on the motorcycle, everything is potentially a cosmetic damage, and we're putting all that on the estimate. So the other thing that comes up that I've seen, I'm sure you guys have, is, hey man, my 20-year-old bike that I love and to me is worth the moon, but insurance has it marked at $3,500 value, and you broke a fin on a cylinder head and dented a gas tank and bent a front wheel.
Totaled.
Here's your $4,000 estimate. Oh, your bike's totaled. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that can happen. So that realistic expectation we got, and that goes back to the custom coverage and the accessory coverage.
Accessory coverage.
If your bike has that kind of value to you because you put a lot of money into it with parts and accessories and upgrades, make sure your insurance company knows that, and you get those additions on your insurance plan so they value your bike.
Find
more.
an insurance company that does that. Like I have a classic car, and we have an agreed price.
Yeah.
I think my car is worth this much. They agreed, and so if it ever gets totaled, that's what they pay me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Not
just like-
what a '64 Buick is worth.
Right.
Yeah,
Because
just
you're
like my shovel head, they have it valued, or they said that the value is about $3,000. Well, I know I have more than that into it, so I pay a $10,000
You'll pay extra.
value versus the $3,500 value,
Right.
because I have paint that you can't get anymore that was painted in the 80s and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
that's the stuff people don't think about, because when you buy your bike and you get your insurance at that time, it's on the value of the bike right then. But if you've had that bike for years and years and years, the value keeps dropping according to the book. And then you get shocked when a minor fall down totals a bike, or the parts are no longer available, therefore they can't replace it and totals a bike. I mean, there's weird things that can happen. So the expectation on on wreck repairs and insurance, an expectation is your bike should be rebuilt to safe. It should be rebuilt to the condition it was before the wreck. That doesn't necessarily mean showroom new. However, that's what we shoot for. But, you know, if your bike was haggard before and then you damage some things, it's probably going to get built back to the condition it was before the incident, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that may mean they won't pay for it because it's worth more than what the bike is.
And if you decide to take things off and put things on, we still need to make sure it's safe to go back on the road.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have an obligation. If you still have a lien on your bike, you're still paying on your bike, we have an obligation to the lien holder, whoever you're paying the note to, that the bike gets repaired, because we can't say, hey, here's all the money for it and not fix it. So there's some legal obligation there we have as a repair facility too. So you got to keep that in mind. It's not a windfall of money for you necessarily. It has to be fixed, or your lien holder has to agree to the level of repairs you're doing. You got something to say? Go ahead.
There's a weird thing when it comes to motorcycles versus like cars and stuff like that, where like we in ADV they call them like farkles and stuff like that.
They call them what?
Farkles,
Sure.
feature added. I can't remember what the rest of it stands for. But in the motorcycling world, when you make a modification or you add something to it or you put a piece on there, there's a weird mentality of like, oh, this adds value to the motorcycle.
Wrong.
Where like in the car world, somebody puts a turbo on something and you're like, you just ran that out in the parking lot and did donuts.
Yeah.
The value of your car has now gone down.
Right, you trashed it.
So there's a little weird mentality
yeah.
change up. When
Yeah,
it comes
everyone
to,
thinks it's almost like a one-for-one return on your investment. And it's
in the
not.
mentality of the insurance company, from auto to motorcycle does not change.
No.
They're like,
not
yeah, no,
worth
that doesn't
more.
count.
No, not at all.
You have your internals in your. You spent $10,000 doing internal motor work. They don't care.
Yeah,
Right.
It does
It
not
still
make
runs
your,
and
your
drives,
bike is
okay.
a 2012 Road Glide.
It doesn't make that
But I
bike worth
put this
anymore.
monster.
Talk to
Did
your
you get the upgraded insurance on
Yes.
it? No. Then you got a 2012 Road
If you
Glide.
pay for the insurance, they will cover it.
Yeah, talk to your. I mean, obviously, talk to your insurance company, because I mean, in my insurance, if I go down and my helmet gets scuffed, they give me $400 to buy a new
Yeah,
helmet.
gear.
helmet.
Yeah, they got
Yeah.
gear coverage. So there's a bunch of levels on there. So a lot of folks I know will shop for the cheapest possible insurance they can get. Just like everything else in this world, you get what you pay for. So just remember that. When you've got the cheapest upon the cheapest upon the cheapest and then you need it, you may be disappointed in what we can do, what they're willing to do, and what the end product is you end up with. I will tell you, come out of the shop, it will be safe, it will be right. That's what has to happen. That's what these guys do. That's what we make sure. And we work with the insurance companies as best we can. But you may be on the hook for not just your deductible, but some of those other parts that insurance isn't willing to cover if you haven't gotten it set up before the accident. So that would be my take on insurance. Anything else to add on that one? All right, I think we covered that one pretty good. Hopefully that gets a conversation going for you guys out there. And however it is around the world, I don't know. It might be different in different places. We're talking little pocket here in Texas, a little bit of experience in the United States, but it's pretty similar everywhere here in the States with insurance, for better or for worse. Love to hear how it works in other places if you're just on your own or you get these amazing coverages. I would be very curious what it's like. So please comment in if you know about overseas insurance and how it works, or if you were to ride your bike. I've always wondered what it's like to take my bike south or north of the border.
Actually, I was about to hit on that real quick. I was actually going to school in Phoenix, and my insurance was all through Texas because I was still a Texas resident, just in their school.
Sure.
Well, they didn't want to cover it in Phoenix because they were like, no, your motorcycle is supposed to be in Texas.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, I mean, that might be like, hey, let your insurance know. I'm traveling across state lines. I'll be gone for this amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, every time I've changed addresses, like I moved states, the insurance company writes me an entirely new policy.
Right.
But when I travel, like if I just go home to Missouri or whatever, they don't, they're not stressing it because I still have my house. I'm still.
But if you were spending extended
they were like, well, you were there so long, but I was like, but my home address was Texas.
It's all those things we don't think about.
Little things.
It's the little things we don't think about until you need it and go, oh, we should have done that.
I mean, even being former military, all my stuff was Texas.
Yeah.
And it was okay, but obviously not as a student. So.
See, we live and learn. Learn from our wisdom and age, right? The voice is young. He hasn't done any of this stuff yet, so he doesn't know.
Well, actually, so we had, I think it was Progressive Insurance in Washington and Oregon. Progressive does not exist in California.
Really?
Period.
Wow.
So, like, we got down there and we're like, awesome, cool, we're here, we're done, we're set up. We got like 6 months into it before we realized that our policy did not exist. And we're like, oh.
So a move is important.
Yeah, move is very important to check those things out.
So, hey, great. Hopefully somebody can take some information on this when you're all moving around out there in the world and see what's going on.
Now I think we covered everything.
Now we've covered everything, except you'll tell us what we missed and what we're wrong on, and we love that, so please do. Thanks again for joining us. We will see you next week on Tech Talk.
Check out the merch.